Hello friends, welcome back to Heartscapes, where we're learning the system of Reiki to live lives that are grounded, spacious, connected, and to remember ourselves. My name is Michaela, welcome back to the channel. This week I'm once again coming to you from not the studio, out in the wild. This has been kind of a rare season of my life when there's been a few opportunities back to back to kind of range far from home and have some experiences out in places that I had not been before. So the last video I was up at Mount Shasta just having some reflection time, some retreat time, doing some strategic planning for the year. Shared that video about getting caught in a winter storm that absolutely terrified me and how the system of Reiki helped me with that. So this week I am up at Harbin Hot Springs in Northern California. I was invited up here to teach a soul collage class and really have been able to come up here for the first time. If you are someone who is experienced with Northern California, you have probably heard of Harbin Hot Springs. For me, growing up in this region, it was always like this mythical land out in the woods. It was kind of like Rivendell, like this magical fairyland that people would go to somehow they would get there and they would come back with stories of incredible experiences. But for some reason it never occurred to me that I could also go to Harbin Hot Springs until I was invited here. And this place is in transition because several years ago the whole region was burned in one of the fires that has become more common in the region of Northern California, unfortunately. And so this beautiful facility with all of this artwork and all of these magical spaces and all of this history of this land, the land of the Miwok and the Ohlone people, was burned down. The land itself, of course, will be okay. She knows how to recuperate herself after a burn. That is part of the natural order of things. But the human spaces, of course, take much longer to regenerate. And so I'm here during a time of great transition for this community, for this facility, this space. Some of the places have been rebuilt, perhaps better than ever. Other places are still very much existing in portable buildings as they are kind of regenerating. And as I've been, here spending some time on the land, I've walked quite a bit of the property, these beautiful kind of ranging hills. I've been in a lot of reflection about the topic of transitions. It's one that I circle back around to quite often. The topic of how do we navigate the transitions in our life is a huge one for my work. Oftentimes the people that I work with, that's exactly why they're working with me, because they're going through some sort of important transition in their life, and it's bringing up things that they haven't had to deal with before. It's challenging. It feels all the feelings. And they're looking for some support and some techniques for navigating that transition with grace and with strength to get to the other side of it in a way that feels good for them. And it's certainly a topic that I have revisited over and over, of course, in my own life. And it's one that the system of Reiki is beautifully designed to support us with. And oftentimes I'm speaking of transition and navigating transition from the perspective of our Reiki practice. And I will continue to do that into the future. However, as I'm here on this land and really spending time in a natural space that I haven't been in for a long time, this is a very different sort of landscape than where I currently live, but much more similar to where I grew up. I'm noticing something that really was my first teacher of transitions before I was working with the system of Reiki, and that is the system of nature herself. Nature is in constant transition. Things are constantly changing from one form to another. Liminal space is part of the natural order of things in the natural world. Liminal space meaning that space in between when you're no longer what you used to be. Perhaps you're no longer a tree because you have fallen down and died, but you're not yet what you will be. You have not fully composted back into soil yet. You're in this liminal space of decomposition, of holding some of your old form, but slowly or rapidly letting go of parts of that form as new forms arise. In this example of a tree that has fallen, part of the tree, the underside of the tree, is fairly rapidly becoming soil, while the top of the tree might be drying out, might be almost petrifying, might still look very much like its original form of a tree. And so you have this liminal space that is a different type of space where there's different things happening, there's different feelings happening, there's different things present than the original form, a living tree, and the future form, a pile of soil. And that is how it is in our lives, right? As much as we seek consistency and a certain amount of stasis and a certain amount of settledness, stability, right? These things are really important for us to feel safe, to feel like we can get things done, that we can, settle into moving our life forward and maintaining our life, right? We want to often be in a maintenance state. There's constantly things changing in our life. Constantly on small levels, like every day, there's changes. And of course, on some level of regularity, these larger life changes that sometimes feel like they come out of the blue and just whomp us upside the head and totally change everything when we're not prepared. Sometimes they're changes that we did prepare for, right? Like a job transition or buying a new home. Maybe we planned for those things for a very long time. And yet, even still, when we find ourselves in that transition, it can be very, very uncomfortable. We might want to get to the other side of that discomfort as quickly as possible. So much so that our culture actually does not have a lot of awareness and a lot of kind of structures and cultural understanding about the importance of simply being in the change, being in the transition, finding ways to navigate the discomfort of that transition so that we don't rush getting to the other side. Because when we rush through that liminal space, we try to book it through that valley as quickly as we can so that we can get to the other side, so that we can settle, so that we can be competent in the new job. We can be all unpacked and settled into the new house. We can be on the other side of the pain of the divorce and just getting on with our new normal, right? We want to be on the other side of that transition, quite often very badly. But what happens when we hold that as our sole focus and we don't take care of the transition time? We don't let ourselves be in liminal space. Well, a number of things can happen. We can move too quickly, right? And so that the final form, when we're on the other side, is not actually as fertile and full and complete as we actually need it to be. We might leave things behind because we're moving so quickly. We will miss opportunities to grow and to change and to notice things that only exist in the liminal space and not on either side of it. And we miss the opportunity to be with our full self in uncomfortable situations. Now, Michaela, you might say, why would I want to intentionally stay in uncomfortable situations? This is a fair question. The answer that I have come to after many times of opining on that very question is that navigating discomfort, being able to stay present, stay grounded, feel a sense of spaciousness and ease, even if I'm uncomfortable or in pain, be able to stay with what's happening, stay clear, notice what's happening inside me and around me, and to stay connected to myself, to other people, to the world. When I can do that, those are the moments when I actually grow as a person. I actually learn, that I actually become bigger and more competent, become more strong, become more able become maybe more connected to the people that have walked through that with me, to the animals that have walked through that with me, just to the spaces that I have been in. Now, I'm not saying any of that to glorify pain or discomfort, right? Because there's a dark side to that kind of thinking, right? That like only positive thinking, that hey, look on the bright side of everything. Everything is a lesson. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So, go ahead and lean into that. I'm not saying that. There are absolutely things that come into our life that cause us harm and cause us unnecessary discomfort that need to be challenged, that we are allowed to resist, that we're allowed to be really pissed off about, right? What I'm talking about more in this conversation is the necessary discomfort, not the unnecessary discomfort, the unnecessary pain of, something being done to us that's not right. I'm talking about the necessary discomfort. When we are changing, when we are bringing something new into our life, or something has happened to us that we did not plan for, that we absolutely need to get to the other side of, right? That we can't stay mired where we're at, right? We can be frustrated about that. We can push back about that. We can absolutely want to be on the other side. But let us not forsake where we are right now in this moment, right? Let's notice the resources that are there in that liminal space and make the very best use of them while we're here. We don't want to live here. We don't want to camp out in the change, in the transition, in the liminal space forever, right? We do want to get to the other side. Absolutely. But what resources and opportunities are here that are going to help us be in the best position we can be when we get to the other side? That's the question that I'm sitting with. And that's the question that being in natural spaces and observing nature has been really, really helpful to me. And so I wanted to just share 3 specific insights that I have noticed while I've been out here in these musings, specific lessons from nature about how to be in liminal space. And these are going to be examples that are not going to be applicable to every situation. I'm going to use examples from my own life. There are many, many, many more. There's lots of depth that we could go into here, but I just wanted to kind of focus on 3 examples to help us see the way in which observing nature, being in nature can help us, can support us in this question. Sound good? Okay. So there's 3 types of natural transitions that I've encountered over the last couple of days that I want to use as this example. The transition from nighttime to daytime, which we would call dawn. The transition from meadow to stream, so that edge place between the meadow and the water. And the transition from sunshiny places to shady places. Okay? So those are the 3 spaces that we are going to observe. Hey friends, Editing Michaela here. Just popping in here to thank you for watching to the end of part 1 of this video. This topic is so important and so underlooked in many spheres. I don't see this conversation happening in very many places. This emphasis on the importance of developing skills and capacities to navigate change and transition, to be able to be in that change in ways that are generative and life-affirming rather than simply being goal-oriented to get as quickly as possible to the other side of the transition. And I felt that was so important to really emphasize that I wanted to give you really good grounding both on the context of that, just kind of what is this topic in detail, and then also give you some really good specific examples. And of course, in this case, drawing those examples from metaphors from the natural world alongside specific examples in my own life. And I wanted to give enough time and space for all of that. So I did decide to divide this video into 2 parts because she got a little bit long, let me tell you. So just thought it would be easier for you to work with it in 2 parts rather than one mega video. So part 2 will be coming out on Friday. The very best way for you to be sure that you catch it and not let it pass you by is to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I don't usually super emphasize those YouTube-y things of subscribes and likes and shares and all that, but I will say that my channel is now just about 25 subscribers away from 1,000 subscribers, which is kind of the first big milestone as far as YouTube is concerned, and I'm really excited to reach it. YouTube is a platform, like many of them, that functions via engagement. The more those of you who are paying attention to this channel engage with it, the more YouTube will recognize it as something that has value and show it to you more, show it to other people more, therefore grow the channel, spread the message. And so I really appreciate your engagement. If you value what you are seeing here, and you haven't subscribed yet, please just go ahead and hit that little sub button down there, like the video, comment. And when I ask you for comments, it truly is because I really want to have conversation with you. I love the conversations I get to have down in the comment section, and it does tickle that algorithm and help to grow the channel. So I appreciate your engagement. I look forward to sharing part 2 of this video with you on Friday, so stay tuned. And in the meantime, may you be deeply provisioned for whatever your day has in store for you. Goodbye.